It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Leander, Kahney from the Cult of Mac is here. Andy Ihnatko, too, from the Chicago Sun-Times. We're just waiting around for the next iPad to come out. We'll also talk about the Facebook Yahoo lawsuit, the Department of Justice approving Apple's patent acquisition, and a whole lot more. MacBreak Weekly is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 290, recorded March 13th, 2012. Waiting for iPad. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Get better connected to the people you depend on for success. For your free 30-day trial, visit GoToMeeting.com and use the offer code MacBreak. And by Freshbooks, the easy online invoicing app for small businesses that saves time and gets you paid faster. Join over 3.5 million Freshbooks users and try the service free for 30 days at Freshbooks.com. Tell them you heard about it on MacBreak. And by Pond5, the world's stock media marketplace. If you're a media maker who needs stock video clips, photos, illustrations, music tracks, or sound effects, check out Pond5 for instant downloads at the best prices anywhere. Check out Pond5 at pond5.com. And for 25% off this month, use the code TWiT25. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers the latest Mac news. And I don't know what we're going to talk about because, frankly, until Friday, we're just kind of floating in the air, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Andy Ihnatko to my left from the Chicago Sun-Times. His website is www.celestialwasteofbandwidth.com. Hi, Andy.
Hello, Leo.
Hello. And to my right, Leander Kahney of the cultofmac.com. Also Cult of Android, but not mention that. Hey, Leander. Good to have you.
It's more of a sect than a cult.
And neither of you went to South by Southwest, so I don't have to worry about hangovers.
No, I don't know how to ride a longboard, so I'm not qualified to attend South by Southwest.
Wow. I was a little nervous because South by Southwest is a big trade conference in Austin that goes on every March, and it's really fun. It's just great. They started with a music festival, then a film festival, and they added interactive, and it's become, 50 or 60 or 70,000 people, all of them from San Francisco and New York, apparently, converge on Austin. And it's become just Austin becomes a massive party. It's basically Mardi Gras for geeks now, minus the toplessness and the beads. And it's only 20,000 for interactive. It feels like more. Anyway, I was worried that we might miss something, but apparently, according to all of my feeds, the only thing we missed was lots of imbibing. And Baratunde, who apparently was stellar in his talk. And I missed that. I'm sorry about that.
Or and the homeless that
that was weird.
They had the hot spots.
We missed. It seems like that company, I think, was actually some of the reports I read. It wasn't quite as crass as it appeared. They weren't. They were trying to. They said they were trying to raise awareness of homelessness and try to do something a little entrepreneurial. So, and I just obviously it was I think clumsily communicated. They actually did something in the past in New York. Some previous campaigns. They have a long history of doing sort of socially.
It's a little more complicated. Let me tell people what happened here so people understand. During South by Southwest, homeless people were wandering the streets with T-shirts saying, "Hi, my name is Clarence, and I am a wireless hotspot. Give me some money, and you can use me." And they were carrying 4G MiFi cards, and I guess you'd send them a text, and they'd send you back the password and so forth. They called them homeless hotspots. It was a PR firm called BBH Labs that did this. And there was a lot of, on the one hand, it really looked like this is exactly what's wrong with hipsters, South by Southwest, the tech community, callous, heartless. And then other people said, as you did, Leander, that, BBH is raising awareness of the homeless. They had done something before in New York City, but it was 4 interns. They gave cell phones to 4 different homeless guys, and they didn't give them any training. They let them tweet, and then they stopped the program. And so what they did before was underwhelming to say the least. It didn't certainly help these homeless guys in any way. Unclear whether this helps people or not, or whether it raises awareness about homeless or not. It just appears crass, I guess, and that's really kind of the...
Yeah, you really have to do it carefully. I understand that as you attach to the hotspot, could be wrong, but I was seeing some screenshots that made me think that when you attach the hotspot, it has an introductory page on your web browser that says, "Oh, here's my name, here's my story,
that's good. That's
the situation." So, yeah, I mean, it's not quite like Marie Antoinette hiring serfs to serve as end tables in the palace, but you're right. It's sometimes just being really, really clear about your intentions is just as important as how you execute the idea.
Marie said she was just trying to raise awareness of the plight of serfs in France, 17th century France. That's all.
It was a carefully crafted. There was a PR milestone when the rumors came out that she was eating her servants, which is no, I eat off my servants. I'm not. For God's sakes, these people are human beings.
Matthew Iglesias wrote, and I think this is fairly accurate. Think about all the companies involved in one way or another at South by who did absolutely nothing at all for Austin's homeless population, which is fairly large. How much condemnation did they get? None. BBH's stunt here offends our sense of human dignity, but the real offense is that people were languishing in such poor conditions that they would find this to be an attractive job offer. The sin BBH is being punished for is less than any harm they've done to homeless people than the way they broke decorum by showing the reality of homeless misery amidst material plenty into the faces of convention goers. It's unseemly, though, when you see some, .com millionaire giving some homeless guy $1 so he can use him as a Wi-Fi access point. That just feels wrong. But I agree with Matthew that it's it's a tricky issue. I think we all agree. It was just maybe could have been done a little bit more elegantly. Anyway, that's not neither here nor there. It has absolutely nothing to do with Apple. I'm sorry I brought up South by Southwest. We're not there and we don't care.
Sounds like a chant.
We're not there and we don't care.
We don't care.
Gina Trapani didn't go this year, and she said she was suffering from FOMO, fear of missing out. But I think we've survived.
The whole point of companies going there is to get their message out. So oftentimes it's a question of, do you want to get that drunk and that jet lagged to get information about 20 minutes before somebody tweets it out? And then,
exactly.
And then that the Marvel Comics had a really interesting announcement. They're rolling out a brand new digital initiative where it's not just simply doing digital versions of their comics, but a brand new app and a brand new format for digital comics that name any 7 buzzwords, and I guarantee you this press release had that information in it. So maybe great, maybe not great. But the point is that the fact that I was here meant that, I bet that there are still people in Marvel's offices in New York whom I could actually email and call.
Yeah.
Instead of, again, having to fly all the way to Texas, getting very drunk and very bloated on that really, really wonderful grilled and barbecued food that they have there.
And now, of course, the huge irony is that Sarah, MG, and all the other people couldn't get back to San Francisco because the weather's so bad here, and they're stranded. Sarah's in Phoenix, MG's in Oakland. So
my iPad waiting for me on my
ha. See, that's what you get for having too much fun. We're going to talk about, actually, I want to talk a little bit about a green light for Apple. Also, what the hell is Yahoo thinking? All of that coming up as we talk about Apple and the Apple world. And really, the truth is, everybody knows we're just waiting till Friday. All we can do is think about our new iPads.
Right.
But I do want to get Leander's take on this, and Andy too, as we've had a little time to digest. So we'll talk about that too in just a second. But first, a word from Citrix, the folks who do. I just was on a GoToMeeting right before the show. We were using HD Faces. It's so cool. Chris Pirillo was on it with me, a couple of people from Citrix, a guy named Paul Glenn who's an IT professional. We were planning an event we're going to do in May. And it's great. It's like you're really sitting there and you're seeing the people. And it's fun to see, like Michael at Citrix, Michael Guarnieri's office. He monitors their social strategy, and he has it's like a TV painted on the wall with a big screen in it, and their tweets are going by. It's just so cool. I want you to visit gotomeeting.com and take a look at this. It works great on a Mac and Windows, of course, too. GOTOmeeting.com. The product has been around for a long time. You're probably familiar with it as a screen-sharing meeting program. But now they've got HD Faces. In fact, now they've got HD Faces for the iPad. I can't wait to see this on the new iPad. This is going to be, and I didn't ask Michael, but they're going to be working on it. The idea that you are doing these meetings, everybody these days is distributed all over. Our new web design company, Lullabot, I don't even know where they are. We have meetings every 3 times a week, and they're in Rhode Island, they're in Minnesota, they're probably in Australia, they're all over the place. This is the way we work these days. GoToMeeting brings that team together on the screen, and it's fantastic. I just clicked a link in the email. The program launched. It's a little Java stuff. It always downloads the latest, which takes 5 seconds. And then you're meeting. It's incredible. And you're seeing them in high def. I just love it. I want you to try it free for the next 30 days. It's great for product reviews, for demos, for sales presentations, training sessions. We use them for our weekly status meetings. Right from your desk. Visit GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button. Let me show you right here, the orange Try It Free button. And make sure you use the offer code MacBreak so that Andy and company get credit for this. MacBreak. MacBreak. Not like a car brake, like you're breaking something. MacBreak as a promo code for 30 days free. From Citrix, GoToMeeting. It's amazing. So, Rockstar Consortium. I like the name. You know who that is? That's Apple, Microsoft, RIM, Ericsson, and Sony. They joined together to buy 4,000 Nortel patents for $4.5 billion. And now the Department of Justice says, yeah, go right ahead. The acquisition had already been okayed by the U.S. courts and by antitrust regulators. But the DOJ had a waiting period for review of the patent purchase. That period just expired, means that's it. There's nothing more to stop them from getting those patents. And in a related story, Yahoo's decided to sue Facebook because it's apparently the only way they can make money. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's foolish me for studying computer science in college instead of law. I thought that the computer science degree would be more useful for writing about technology than the law degree, but apparently I was very, very wrong.
So let me I think you guys in this audience, if I tell you the patents, you will see what a strong case Yahoo has. There are 10 of them. Here's one, U.S. Patent 7454509, issued 2008. A method, but by the way, issued 2008. A method for entertaining individuals according to a community having similar tastes. Information derived from user accounts form the basis of a community, and collateral preferences allow others. Boy, Spotify, Ping, a lot of companies in trouble there. That's the online playback system with community bias patent. How about control for enabling a user to preview display of selected content based on another user's authorization level? Enabling this, Facebook's using these, there's no question. Share an item only with selected friends, in other words. A dynamic, get this, we're all in trouble now. Yahoo apparently patented in 1997 the ability to customize your homepage. A custom page server provided with user preferences organized into templates. My Yahoo, remember My Yahoo? My.yahoo.com? That was it. They may have something there. That might be the first customized homepage, right? How about this one? Messaging your friends. World modeling using a relationship network of communication channels to entities, a.k.a., according to paidcontent.org, messaging your friends. Sending an instant message. System and method for instant messaging using an email protocol.
Yeah, I've been looking at Yahoo for the past 2 hours, and apparently the stock price is now going way down because of this announcement.
Really?
Or, I'm sorry. You can't say whether or not it's because of this announcement, but today it's down. It's down to 14. I'm looking at something from the Mercury News saying it's down 0.5% nearly, as of 12:30 right now. I don't know. I haven't been able to see anybody who thinks this is in any way a good thing. It really is following the Kodak playbook that said that if you can't be a success at the cash register and you can't get success in enterprise, try to get success in the courts. And I'm not sure that anybody outside of a Chinese iPad trademark shark has ever made that work for anybody.
Compare this, though, Andy, to Apple. I mean, some people would say the same thing about Apple.
Well, the Rockstar consortium, it really does read more of a defensive posture than anything else. Everybody wanted this patent portfolio.
Google tried to get it, but couldn't.
Google's tried to get it. There's also been some discussion as to how seriously they tried to get it, because apparently there were a couple of kind of joke bids in there. But it really is. I mean, I think that maybe we're moving from a posture of being a legitimate patent troll to realizing that if you have any sort of viable patent, someone might want to buy it from you just to take it off the playing field, just to keep it out of the hands of the sharks. So I don't think none of the smarter people than I am who are in intellectual property, who have looked at the terms of the offer that this consortium made, thinks it's anything other than we want to make sure that we have these patents so no one else can beat us over the head with it. Right. Although it is notable that it's not as it seems as though all these companies were very, very open and trying to bring other people on board if necessary for this. Remember that this price was enough that Apple could have bought this whole patent portfolio themselves if they thought it was that important.
Right.
But it is notable that this does not include every single mobile manufacturer in the industry. It contains most of them, and certainly two companies that are going to be the biggest players in the next couple of years. Certainly the two that you would think that have the most to fight with each other about. So the fact that they're ganging together to own this patent portfolio together, I think tells you something about the nature of the transaction.
Yeah, but Apple's also actively suing companies like Samsung. It sure looks like Apple wants to put Samsung out of business, trying to get injunctions for against several of their phones and tablets. But that's different. Do you think Apple has merit? Yeah, I have to say, this is what Yahoo said in its complaint. Facebook's entire social network model, which allows users to create profiles for and connect with, among other things, persons and businesses, is based on Yahoo's patented social networking technology. They say, we invented social networking and we want to be paid for it. Apple says, we invented the smartphone and we want to be paid for it. Is there a difference?
All I can say is that there's definitely a difference in these sort of maneuvers. Again, I checked with people who do this like on a regular basis, and they're telling me that if they were trying to buy these patents to beat other people over the head with it, they would have made this offer in a fundamentally different way. I understand.
Way. I'm not just talking about Nortel, though. I'm also talking about Apple's existing lawsuits. Yeah. I mean, Apple's taken this stuff to court. Now, the difference maybe is that Yahoo's going down the tubes, and Apple's clearly doing okay.
But
it's also you could look at
Samsung.
Go ahead, Leander.
You can look at the iPhone and you can clearly see that innovation came from Apple. But you look at Facebook and you don't immediately think, oh, yeah, that's a Yahoo ripoff.
I don't know. Yahoo's been doing this for a while.
I think Apple's definitely capable of having a very human-like response to having been slighted and thwarted and offended. As if it's one person who there is a very, very real offense that has been made against them, but a company would have like 1,000 people on this idea and 1,000 different opinions and a very, very moderated response. Apple sometimes just will react as that one peed off guy who has a knife and a gun in the car and is thinking about the best ways to use it. Right. Samsung, I think, Samsung is like Google, in that they take these things personally. Samsung, it's not just simply that they used a patent that Apple owns about rendering an icon that highlights when you touch it. Apple is offended because Samsung built a phone that looks exactly like the iPhone, that tries to that from Apple's perspective tries to confuse the consumer into thinking that this phone right here, this Samsung phone, is the exact same phone you saw your cousin using a month ago that you liked so much.
It's kind of a double standard. It feels like a double standard to me, Andy. It feels like, well, it's okay if Apple does it, but not if Yahoo does it.
Well, I think there's separate issues in separate different cases.
There's merit. You say there's merit in Apple's, but not merit in Yahoo.
I think that it comes down to what is Yahoo. It comes down to the nature of the patent. If Yahoo was targeting Facebook's like button, and said that, well, look, we actually created that. That was something that we built our company on.
Like
our entire corporate identity is based on. As a matter of fact, for the first 2 years of our corporate identity, we had that like button as part of the logo. It was so intrinsically connected to Yahoo. Yes, we patented it, and maybe that patent seems a little bit broad. fraud, but this is we have identified ourselves with this property. At this point in the Yahoo's history, though, they're not attacking Facebook on any really Yahoo identifiable items. It really does seem like that point in your budgeting process where you are truly looking through your sofa cushions to to roll enough pennies to get some gas in your car. That's what Yahoo's action really sounds like at this point.
I hate talking about court stuff. I really do, but I feel like I really do.
Well, you managed to talk about it for quite a long time there, Leo.
I know. I hate it. Let's watch TV instead. Conan O'Brien last night.
Apple, as I mentioned, unveiled their new iPad yesterday. And one of the big changes that they're touting, because it's not that different from the other iPads, but one of the differences that they're bragging about is the incredible video quality. Here's the new ad where they talk about it.
When a screen becomes this good, colors are more vibrant. Everything is more brilliant. Because when a screen becomes this good, it's simply you and the things you care about. The stunning Retina display on the new iPad.
I'm stunned. There was something wrong with that ad. I don't know if you didn't see it. It seemed like there was something a little different in that ad, but I just...
It's the ad Apple should have done.
That's how people really use the iPad. They don't look at flowers and they're looking at bears humping.
And guys falling off of...
and crotch shots. That's what the internet was made for, crotch shots. If somebody had a patent on crotch shots... Yahoo, if I were you, I would search that patent portfolio. Because if you had patented that, you got it. You own the internet. It's over. All right, we're excited, right? New iPad coming out Friday. You pre-ordered. Wait a minute. What am I saying? You guys both have one, don't you? Because you're massive, very important Apple journalists. They've sent you some already, right?
I got a box of them, yeah. I was just thinking of that. I'm thinking the homeless people out here.
You got a pallet, yeah. Now that next year at South by Southwest, people will wander around with the new iPad in a hotspot like that.
Right. Yeah.
I've already moved on to my 15-inch tablet.
Andy, you're such a lucky guy. Have either of you, Leander, were you at the event? Did you see it? Did either of you actually seen one or held one?
No, not yet. We are on Apple's
You too?
list.
Really? You too?
Yeah.
That list is growing.
I would not say that I'm on any S list. All I will say was that I was not invited to the event last week for reasons for which I'm not going to even guess and aren't really operative to my
Apple
job.
doesn't tell you. They just you just don't get the invite.
And, well, it's not important. Again, it's nowhere inside nowhere in Apple's business plan it contains the phrase "and it's our job to make Andy Ihnatko's job as easy as possible."
Oh, I disagree.
So,
that should be right there in the charter. It's like your best friend. You knew him for years. You grew up together. You went to high school together, and a few years down the road, he gets married, and you didn't get invited. It's his decision.
Well, but okay,
it could break your heart. You could cry a tear.
To continue this analogy, you could be disappointed you didn't get invited, but then you find out that the wife has 5 people in the family that absolutely could not have not been invited. It was going to be a small wedding of 12 people inside a courthouse. And then, like, right after you click send on that angry email, say, "All right, dude. Well, I suppose that this is over between us." I said, "Well, unfortunately, because my new mother and father-in-law are both in wheelchairs and they both need 2 full-time aides. That really was all the seats that were available in the chapel. So I'm really sorry. We one of the reasons why we didn't invite you was because we thought you would understand, but we apologize for not for realizing that you'd be childish and churlish about this."
Leander, Andy is obviously a much bigger man than you and I.
Right. I was, yeah. I didn't take it lightly, as lightly as he did.
Is this the first time you've not been invited to an event or like this, or Cult of Mac hasn't been invited, or has this been ongoing?
No, it's been ongoing. I mean, we've been trying. We've begged, we've pleaded, we try to make make up with our friends over there.
When I see who was there, when I see the people who were there, when I see well, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to insult anybody. But it's clearly the best way to get in is to be a big Apple supporter, right? uncritical Apple.
I'm not afraid of saying Jason Snow.
Well, he's the editor-in-chief. Look, they have to invite the editor-in-chief of the last standing Mac magazine. Well, I guess there's a couple more, but they have to invite that guy. But I would think they'd have to invite the guy who founded Cult of Mac.
You'd think so. Liam.
The tech writer for the Chicago Sun-Times.
Still a great metropolitan newspaper.
Still, I believe.
Operators are standing by.
Read by people in Chicago. I just don't get it.
In Poland, I'm world famous.
The unofficial Apple wedlog, not invited. Oddly enough.
Yeah, Apple PR doesn't really have that much interest in the specialist publications. I mean, we are already part of the choir. I mean, they don't need to invite us to the event to get us to cover the event.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's 70 posts that day about the event,
right.
And the iPad. They're looking for Apple's always targeted the big mainstream publications. They want to get that big mainstream audience.
Sure.
And that's true for where they put their advertising dollars too. They don't go after the specialist publications. It's always with the big general interest media properties.
And that's why John Gruber gets an invite to every single event, because Daring Fireball is a...
He works for Apple's PR department, basically.
Right.
So
I'm just saying.
I'm not going to agree with that in any way, shape, or form.
All right. He's fairly uncritical.
Gruber's I think he's a very sensible and very important voice. He has a point of view that Apple knows is rarely. Apple knows that their foreign philosophy is very compatible with, but I would never say that Gruber's a fanboy, even in jest.
MG Siegler, who doesn't even really write about anything at all anymore. He's at a VC. There's a lot of, and I love MG, but I'm just saying, you can say it's mainstream. It isn't. It's unpredictable. And anyway, I don't care. It sounds whiny and babyish, and
that's exactly right.
I'm not going to go on and on. I just feel like what the story is. It really looks like Apple tries to control the coverage. Oh, what a surprise! Shock.
Well, I mean, I keep thinking about and deciding not to write a blog post about this sort of thing, only because there's just so much.
It just sounds.
And unfortunately, during the last round, I was really, really, I don't know, not angry, a little bit more disappointed.
I get hurt.
No, not by Apple. I'm talking about some site was doing a piece on how Apple controls the press. And usually when people ask me about, gee, why didn't you get this earlier? Why, whatever, I say, well, it's not an entitlement. I'm perfectly okay with it. I just do my job. And so someone quoted me accurately in Twitter, but prefaced that by saying, Andy Ihnatko is one of many journalists who believes that Apple uses these techniques to keep the press under its thumb. No, I don't. Don't quit that. So anyway.
So, yeah, you're right. It's
childish. I don't like. I
just wish I'd been able to hold it so that we could report on what it looks like. Now, there is a Korean or a Japanese site that has supposedly the first unboxing. I don't know.
It's Vietnamese.
Vietnamese. Yeah, would you play it? So this Vietnamese site, and it's in Vietnamese, but they apparently got the Retina display, and we were lucky because Ryan Block from GDGT was there, and we had him on our coverage last week and it looked pretty good even via Skype. It looked pretty good. I just would have liked to have seen it so we could talk about it today. We'll talk about it on Friday. We're actually delaying iPad Today, which normally airs on Thursday, to Friday afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, so that we will have our new iPads in hand and we can show you. This is we won't play the audio because it's in Vietnamese. Is this credible, Leander? Does that actually? Did you watch this video?
I think so, yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but it's odd that a lot of leaks are coming out of Vietnam.
Yeah.
The iPhone 4S, there were...
interesting.
That showed up first in Vietnam, and I'd say there's...
Is Vietnam in between Shenzhen and San Francisco? Is it on the way? Maybe it fell off the boat as it was steaming by. By the way, that's the new box. We're pretty sure because it is a different design on the box. I think it's fairly credible when you look at it. This is a very, very elaborate hoax.
2 days before people are going to get it, 3 days before people are going to get it for real. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. I don't have any particular reason to doubt it.
Yeah, this is a lot of work to go to if it's not. And it looks. I gotta say, it looks good. It's even on a YouTube video, the quality is just is the text is actually clearer on the iPad than it is on that barcode.
Yeah, but there's kind of a dent in the corner of the box, though. That's
Well, it fell off the boat. I'm telling you. That's what happens. It dents. It bounced.
Little blood from the thuggy sword-breathing guards that were accompanying the shipment.
Exactly. Will it? By the way, we haven't really addressed this, and I would like to. Again, if I had touched, I could have perhaps. Will this fit into existing cases?
Depends on the case. It's only about a millimeter thicker. So if the case was designed to not great tolerances, then
and all the holes are in the same place.
Mostly
cameras the same place. Yeah, looks
cameras. I believe the camera might be a little bit off. But I was trying to look at some measurements that some people took and sent to me and trying to figure out what was different. But I have to admit that when I did like a roundup of a half dozen different iPad keyboard cases, and the first thing I was doing was
okay. There's the two. It's bigger. It's a bigger hole, but it looks like it's roughly the same place.
Well, when they came out with the Verizon iPhone 4, that they moved the buttons ever so slightly on that, and that didn't fit into most of the cases for the AT&T version.
Yeah. This LTE version, it's they show the LTE switch on or off, but is it the case that it's only U.S. LTE, or will this work worldwide? It must. They wouldn't put LTE in and not have it work worldwide.
No, it's U.S. only because they use different bands.
Oh man,
I believe they said that they're going to have multiple devices in most markets just to make sure that they're compatible with the local carrier.
That's too bad.
Even in the U.S., there's the 4S was, of course, the one iPhone to rule them all, at least in the U.S., and that's different now. The AT&T and the Verizon models are different models.
Is it wishful thinking, or does the screen really look a lot better to me? It looks better to me, but is it wishful thinking? Am I hoping? Am I dreaming?
Well, looking at a video that's streaming to your computer, that's then streaming via Skype to my computer, I can say categorically that's the sharpest, most brilliant display any human has ever put on any device.
I'm kind of projecting, aren't I? But I love it.
Well, no, because we're all getting ready. I mean, I already have my camera set up. Like, I got to make sure. Last night I was on Amazon saying, now, do I have a good macro lens so I could really get good shots of the differences in resolution between these two?
Right.
Because I mean, everybody, I know exactly what time of Friday morning that I will be taking delivery of my iPad 3. And so it's almost as if it's going to be almost like I'll have a crime lab set up in the back of like a rental van so that I can go right from this meeting to the van and start getting forensics on this immediately.
Tim Street said, I think it was Tim Street said it on our coverage of the event. I wonder what will be the first TV show to shoot the entire episode on an iPad 3.
That'll be a music video, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll just on Friday. Let's just do all our shows on iPad 3s. Just we'll replace all the cameras with iPad 3s.
No. I mean, yeah.
No.
I'm not really sure. I'm sure we'll see some jokers say some TV productions using that as a hook for like why a certain character was able to shoot HD video of his point of view during his part of the storyline. But I mean, that is going to be a huge step up. One of the reasons why I have to take delivery of it and then go right to Copley Square in Boston, because my standard places for doing test shots of anything camera related is the Boston Public Library. And so you're gonna see me like in Bates Hall with an iPad 2 and then an iPad 3 and then a Asus Transformer Prime with these big stupid slabs of green, taking the same picture 3 times, and then a fourth time with the iPhone 4S, and then a fifth time with a standard camera, just so I can get an idea of how good this camera is. I have very little pride when it comes to such things.
What according to 9 to 5 Mac, they got some artwork from the Apple Store frontage from one of their people. It says it'll be the Apple Stores will be opening at 8 a.m. So, do you think there'll be lines? I mean, when we pre-ordered,
what? What?
Do you think there'll be? Will there be?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think there'll be lines?
They're already lining up.
There are already lines.
Apparently, there's already lines. Yeah, there's a report yesterday. There's already people lining up.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have you tried to pre-order one at this point?
Yeah. What it's like? When do you get it now?
And I think it's down to what, 3 weeks?
Ooh, really? Wow.
It's a number. It's a number of weeks, I believe, unless it's changed since the last time I checked.
Let me just check. I'm gonna order another one. Okay. Select an iPad. Okay. By the way, the site is much more responsive than it was a week ago. White. Let's just get the 15. 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. So it went very quickly from March 16th to March 19th. By Saturday, it was March 19th. And now it's a week later, it's 2 to 3 weeks. And, I have to think, we all have bets, Leander, on how many they're going to sell in the first pre-orders plus first weekend. And I went off on some crazy number, like 15 million. But I have to think they've made quite a few this time, knowing that their demand would be very high. So even then, it looks like they've sold out of their initial production. Yes, there's 2 guys in London in line. There they are. Ali and Zohaib at the Apple Regent Street store in London. In line. Just thought you'd want to know. There they are. It's dark. They're in line.
Surprised it's not raining as well.
It probably is by now. Folding chairs, they've got them. Plenty of warm clothes for the London weather. This is from slashgear.com. So you're right. There will be lines.
Entirely a point of pride, yeah.
I was trying to decide whether we should send a crew, and I thought, you've seen one Apple line, you've seen them all, right? I see them on the Samsung ads every day. It's just
you should totally do that. You should stand outside that line with your Samsung
with my
Note.
Galaxy Note.
We have that T-shirt.
And see how many people you can lure out of the line.
Somebody sent me did they send me? Did I finally get the T-shirt that says, "Dude, you're a barista"?
We could just borrow Tony.
They said they were going to send me one. Yeah, I think Tony stole it from me. 8 a.m. So, but if you pre-ordered, they said there will not be an in-store pickup this time. So they're keeping all the pre-orders out of the lines. So these are people who just said, I guess if you went to try to pre-order a few days later and you said, oh, it's going to be 3 days. Well, I'm going to take my chances and show up. Do you think there'll be a bunch of them in the store that you could, the first 100 people will be sure to get one? What is the typical thing, Leander, on something like this?
I think in the flagship stores there's several hundred, and they're trying to ship out maybe half a dozen, to the smaller stores like the AT&T and the Verizon stores.
There'll be 4 in the AT&T store at least, maybe 5.
I managed to get an iPhone 4S at an AT&T store.
I always do that. Yeah.
There was a line there of a good couple of dozen people. In fact, they were doing business all day, but when I showed up early in the morning, there was a couple of dozen people there.
Right.
And everyone got one at the AT&T store, and it was a lot smaller line than it was at the Apple store, the flagship store, where it was hundreds of people.
The people are nicer at the Apple line.
No? Yeah, I met some interesting mission characters in the AT&T line. But yeah, the Apple Store line is definitely a lot more social. I mean, that's definitely they got on it's a big Mardi Gras. It's a big.
They
party,
come out, they give you ice cream. Although actually, when the iPhone first went on sale in 2007, I waited 6 hours in the line here at the local AT&T in Petaluma, and the AT&T guys went next door to Cold Stone and brought us all ice cream. And I was sitting behind 2 guys in a lawn chair who turned out they worked for Google Reader, and they had been up all night rewriting Google Reader software to look better on the iPhone. So that was pretty cool. And I said, "What are you doing in Petaluma?" They said, "Well, we're going north or something." And they said, "Well, thought we'd stop here." They probably figured they'd get one.
I don't mean this as any sort of a slight or an insult towards the iPad 3, but it's sort of like the lines to get tickets for the first Star Wars prequel versus the lines to get in for the third one.
Right.
It's like it had nothing to do with the quality of the product. It was more like there was so much pent up excitement for the first thing that did not exist before that now the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. Or I could just sort of sleep, or what. Let's invoke the spiritual aspect and say that perhaps I would be benefiting by having to wait 2 weeks and having it delivered to me when there's a unit.
Sometimes, and this has happened to me, you could just walk in like at 2 in the afternoon. The lines are all gone, and there's still 1 or 2, and I'll take that one. It's white with 16 gigs. Nobody wanted it. I'll take that one.
Right. I get a lot of people. There's some people on Twitter who will get news about that and will put it into my hands, and then hoping that I will pass along to somebody else, and then look stupid. When
that's why God made Twitter. Yep. To avoid.
Well, they're doing a better job as well, as you said earlier, of actually getting meeting demand. I mean, one of the reasons there was this all these, like Andy said, there's definitely excitement for the first product, the first category, but they're rolling it out in how many, like a couple of dozen countries now. It's going to be available worldwide in Lithuania, Sweden, Norway.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah, and that's a massive operation. I mean, it's really, really impressive because they are going to sell undoubtedly tens of millions. There's so much excitement for this one, I think. I mean, they're going to sell so many more of these, and they're going to sell the iPad too, even though people say, it's just like a minor upgrade. It's an amazing device for a consumer device. It's sub $1,000 with such a beautiful screen and the HD camera. There's so much you can do with it. And people are adding them as devices now, but I think this year we're going to start seeing people using the iPad 3 as their primary computing device.
I agree. That was my reaction immediately, is that this, if you didn't buy an iPad 1 or 2, you probably lucked out. This is the one that's going to change everything. This is the real post-PC iPad, because it finally has, great camera, power, incredible screen, and dictation. So in many ways, all the things that were missing for content creation are now really part of it, I think.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, whenever something like this happens, what first thought comes to mind is, I wonder what Gene Munster of Piper Jaffray is thinking. That's what comes to mind. And Gene, of course, has weighed in, and he says Apple could sell 1 million iPads on the first day. That's what Gene Munster says. So it's got to be true. It would outstrip first day sales figures for the original iPad and iPad 2. I have to say, they will sell every one they have. That the demand is conditioned totally by the supply. It was the first time. It was the second time. It will be the third time. They sell every single unit they've got. Yeah. Right?
Right.
So there's not a question of what's the demand. The question is, how many do they make?
Yeah.
Right.
Which makes you want to ask the question, what happens in a year or two when there might be more than one compelling tablet out there? And now you have one company, Apple, that has to try to manufacture enough iPads to meet every single amount of demand. Meanwhile, you've got other manufacturers that are maybe making Windows 8 tablets that can basically rent out 8 or 9 different product lines, 8 or 9 different plants churning these things out. So it's interesting that I was really surprised by that chart that surfaced. Was it 4 days ago? I know you showed it to me in the show notes. That showed exactly how much time it takes in the life cycle of an iPad for you to order one through the Apple Store and get next day shipping. That for months afterward, you're going to have to expect to wait at least a week to get it. And that certainly hasn't slowed down people in the past, but it is an interesting metric that there are a lot of people that aren't that passionate about. If in an alternate reality or an alternate future in which people are not passionate about getting specifically an iPad, they just desire one. Are they going to be willing to wait a couple of weeks or 3 weeks to get something, or are they going to be more willing to pick and choose between other tablets that might have a little extra hardware feature like an SD card slot that wasn't enough to push them over the edge on their own, but I can get it right now, and it has an SD card slot, so give it to me.
What you're asking is, how long does the Magic Pixie Dust last for Apple? Because clearly they're using Magic Pixie Dust at this point.
No, I don't. Actually, it's magical smoke, because I took one apart and hooked up to 120 volts, and it just blew smoke. Really beautiful, sweet-smelling blue smoke. Try to inhale it to get some of the magic.
With carcinogens.
Transported to a magical land.
Yes. Yeah, the magical land of death. Go ahead, Leander. You had something to say there.
Well, the iPhone 4S, I think, there was a big initial rush, but it's continued to sell and continues to sell at a healthy clip.
Right.
I think it's selling. They're still doing massive numbers of units, and even though. A lot of people know that they're going to be updating it in the fall.
Even though everybody said this thing is a yawn.
Right.
I mean, it's really. I cannot think of a precedent for Apple, except maybe, I don't know, the Dutch tulip bulb run in the 19th century, perhaps. Or no, I'm sorry, that was the 17th century, wasn't it? That's the last time I think anything has sold this well. I'm just checking. Mine's in Ontario, California right now. So it started in Shenzhen, China. Most of these, I think they're all being drop shipped. Although somebody told me that hers was in Nashville. But I think that's where FedEx or UPS or whoever it is has. FedEx has a hub there, right? It used to be Memphis. I think they'd have one in Nashville now as well.
As we all know for the Tom Hanks movie Lost, Castaway. Yes,
that's right. That's right. That's where the volleyball came from. So I'm just, they say they'll have it to me by 3 p.m. Friday.
I got a notice this morning saying that they tried to deliver it yesterday.
No.
I wasn't in the office. Well, I thought anyway, but it wasn't, unfortunately, the iPad. It was the smart cover that I ordered with the iPad.
Your smart cover's here.
Right.
That is the most depressing thing ever. Hey, your smart cover came. Let's take a break. Come back with more. Leander Kahney is here from the Cult of Mac. I know why Apple didn't invite you, because of this Cult of Android thing. They're probably mad about that.
That's not making any friends for sure at Apple now.
Yeah. Oh, we thought he was like in the cult. Turns out he's kind of easy. He'll join any old cult there is.
Right.
You didn't shave your head with an Android, I hope.
Well, I haven't got any hair left, but
that wasn't your head, was it?
No, it was some kid we paid who was going to get, I think, a Nike swoosh or something. He was at a barbershop that's famous for doing shaving people's heads.
Would you mind getting an Apple instead? It was, of course, on the cover of the book, the Cult of Mac book, which is that's a wonderful book. That's still in stores, right?
It is, yeah. And I've been getting pressured to update it to do, a new version of it. It's a lot of work, though. Yeah.
Well, it's a historical document at this point as well. I don't know if you should update it, to be honest. I think it's just a great thing to have, because it's all the people who are like just crazy Mac fanatics. I love this book. It's on my coffee table.
It's a good point. It was at the time Apple hadn't come back, and there was definitely the community was a lot more cultish. It was a lot more. There was a stronger sense of we got to band together to help support this company and this culture.
That's what's so changed. You published that in 2004. That's what's so changed. Thanks in great part, I think, to the success of the iPhone and the iPad. It has become normal people now are Apple users.
Oh yeah.
And that's why you and I and Andy don't get invited to these events anymore, because we're not normal. We're going to take well, that's obvious.
I don't want to comment on that.
We're going to take a break, come back with more. Andy Ihnatko also here from the Chicago Sun-Times, and he's got Calvin and Hobbes sleeping blissfully over his shoulder. I love the pictures you put up there. Those are so great. Is it Berkey breathed? How do you pronounce it? Berkeley
breathed. But I think you want Bill Watterson for.
Oh, that's right. I confuse those,
Berkeley breathed did
Opus.
Did Bloom County.
Bloom County with Opus the Penguin. I confuse those. And then, but is Armilo, is that comic still? What is the name of that one?
Bloom County.
What are we looking at?
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes. Is that still going?
No, it's famously not going.
Neither of them are going.
Bill Watterson ended the strip because he felt as though he had said everything he needed to say with the strip, and that you could put it into Tupperware, seal it up.
I think that Henry's sense of humor, which is quite well developed, came from the fact that when he was about 6, he read the entire works of Calvin and Hobbes.
I actually subscribe to a classic Calvin and Hobbes, so I get a daily strip every day. And because he did not put there are no cell phones or no computers. There's nothing. The only time you get any hint that this strip was done 15 years ago instead of today was that when you see a TV that's actually 3-dimensional.
There's some depth.
That's the only giveaway.
Such a great comic. Let's talk a little bit about Freshbooks. Freshbooks, if you're a small business owner, I'm a small businessman, you know that one of the most painful parts of your life is the end of the month when you have to invoice. This is where Freshbooks is so great. It was Amber MacArthur that told me about Freshbooks way back in 2004. Since then, 3.5 million people have tried and used this service and love it for sending invoices. It saved my life. It made it so easy to invoice online. Now, I was invoicing U.S. and Canadian clients. They handle the currency transparently. You can email invoices as invoice as looks like your invoice has got the logo and everything. You can have it printed for an additional fee and mailed. But I think that you want to email, and I'll tell you why why we want to email them. Because there's a button on there that says "Pay Leo." Well, not in your case, it would say "Pay You." It'd be nice if they all said "Pay Leo," but they don't. It says "Pay," and the client presses the button and can use one of a dozen different authorization services like PayPal to pay you instantly with a credit card. And I have to tell you, clients love that because, frankly, it's just as much of a pain for them to go and pay the invoices as it was for you to make it. In fact, you can make it the thing can be completely automated if you want. It is the ultimate online invoicing app. It saves you time, gets you paid faster. You can easily create invoices that look super pro. Your clients view them online, pay you right on the spot with a credit card. You could turn timesheets or hours. They have an app instantly into invoices. You can run all kinds of great reports to monitor your small business, and your accountant loves you around tax time. You know what? This would be a good time to do that. You're getting this is while the pain threshold is high for April 15th. In the U.S., we pay our taxes on April 15th, and it's coming up. And I know a lot of you are doing it. A lot of small business people. They may be tall, but they're small. Are doing this, and it's such a pain. And this is the time every year that I would say, oh, I wish I had done a better job keeping track. Freshbooks, just start right now. Automated late payment reminders, follow up with clients. If you want to send physical invoices, Freshbooks will print and mail them to your clients complete with return envelope. The iPhone app, so cool. You sign up right now, you get 30 days of unlimited use. All the features, clients, staff, everything with no limits. Just go to freshbooks.com. And if they ask, they may or they may not, but if they ask, just say, I heard it on MacBreak. That's all. Sign up right now, 30 days, unlimited use, all the features, client, staff, and everything, freshbooks.com. Make it your kind of resolution as we approach tax time so that next year when you do your taxes, it's just like, it really changed my life when I discovered them. Freshbooks.com. They're stupid fresh. When the kids say that, that's a good thing. Kids have said that since DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's how. What is that? 20 years now.
Parents just don't understand, Leo. As true today as it was then.
Parents just don't understand. Let's see. Ominous letter to Chinese iPad vendors from those good folks at ProView. Those are the people who are suing Apple, saying we got the name iPad. It's a Hong Kong-based company that says we've been using the iPad forever. They sent out a letter to Chinese iPad vendors and dealers saying that they are the legal registrant of the trademark iPad. Apple has filed an appeal following the rejection of its complaint about the registration of this trademark in China. We remain the only legal holder of the trademark. I don't know what they're saying here. We solemnly inform... I'm sorry, I'm reading it in too happy a voice. We solemnly inform vendors and dealers, including e-distributorships of Apple iPads, including the iPad 3 in China, they should immediately stop all infringing activities like warehousing, transportation, mailing, concealing, etc. They shall be deemed as deliberate infringement, and we will, without prior notice, take the most severe measures possible. You are hereby informed. Okay, I like the exclamation mark. You are hereby informed. So is this going to put a chill? No.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it? Aren't they complying? Some of the distributors? And
are they?
Really? I thought on the previous reports that they were, that it was disrupting the supply chain.
Interesting.
I could be wrong.
So here from Cult of Mac is the how long will it make Apple iPads to match demands chart. Days after iPad launch. Oh, this is good. So John Brownlee on your site did a little research, and the blue line is the first generation iPad. So it's how many. Right now we are in a 2-week delay period. How long that lasts? So does he like just go to Apple's site every day and make a screenshot? How did he get this?
I think he's actually quoting some other sites.
Okay. That's good.
Research. But yeah, they looked at the historical numbers.
Oh, this is iPadjailbreak.com.
Right, and they looked at how long it took for the supplies of the first generation iPad to meet demand, and you can see there that it took like 6 months for it to get down to 1-day shipping.
Right. So iPad 1 was the worst. Before it was 1-day shipping, it was about 175 days. Got down to 150 days for the iPad 2. But that just shows you. I mean, I think at this point, is there any credibility to the idea? And somebody proposed this. I was doing the morning show on KFI last Friday, and Bill Handel, their host there, said, well, doesn't Apple do this on purpose to stimulate sales? And I said, Bill, I think Apple would sell would make as many as they could because they know they could sell everything they could make, and it's just money down the tubes if you don't have them available.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way they're trying to hold back demand.
They don't need any more publicity.
No. And especially, I think, like with the iPhone 4S, a lot of customers, there's this huge long tail. All of us early adopters, I mean, we've already got our orders in, and there's going to be constricted demand for everybody, for all those other fans who may already have iPads and everyone who's already read and heard about it. But there's a lot more people who casually, they're out shopping on a Saturday, they wander into the Apple Store, and they want to see it. They want to check it out before they decide to buy it.
That's probably sensible. We're just not sensible.
Right, I know.
Right. No, we have to. It's I tell everybody this. No, I have to. I do iPad today. You're a culture of Mac. You have to.
Right, but I would do it anyway.
I know I would too.
Even if I didn't have to.
The iPad 2 wasn't a huge difference, especially since the camera was so crappy. But it was just mostly faster. This is a big jump. I think it's hard to say until we've seen the screen, but I think when people see the screen, it's my sense that people are just going to gasp.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause it's the most visible feature of any device. What does it look like when you look at it? And there's just it's not a subtle difference between the iPad and whatever phone you've got in your pocket, whatever Kindle you've got at home. It's just right there in your face. And I agree with you. I think that one of the reasons why this is going to be the best-selling iPad ever is because it's going to capture not only the faithful iPad users who tend to buy new hardware every year and resell the old one, but there are people like me who bought the first generation and who thought that, well, the iPad 2 is nice. I do like the extra features. I like the extra speed, but I can't spend another $900 or $700 to replace something that's only a year old. But now that it's 2 years old, yes. Now that you've got these great huge new features, yes. And you also have these other people they're going to capture, which are people who they like the iPad. They've been wanting an iPad. They've been looking for something to finally push them over the cliff. And this sort of delayed reward psychology that says, aha, yes, this is why I waited. This is what proves that I'm a smart person. I waited for the 4G model with a double the resolution screen, and now I shall collect my reward, which is the $500 gizmo that
I love it that they didn't raise the price. I can't explain
to my wife. Yeah,
I just think that's really great.
I thought that would have been a really huge deal if they had even raised the price by $50 or $60.
That was a big rumor. $80 more. People were saying. Yeah, I didn't credit that. That's just not how Apple works.
I don't know. I mean, here's one of those places where I have to remind myself that there's so many areas of business that I just have no clue on. I have to talk to people who know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I could imagine a world in which they would drop the price of the iPad 2 down to below $399 and use that as a justification for saying we want to make sure that anybody who wants we want the reach of the iPad to spread to more people who couldn't afford it. Also, we wanted a screen of very exacting specifications, and as such, it would force us to raise the price to $549. But hey, $349 iPad 2. How can you be angry about that? So I thought that was a possibility, but it would have been a really real. I think more than any other qualm, it would have been. I think that psychologically, Apple does not like the idea of raising the price after they have established a price point. It's one of those little strokes of elegance that makes the iPhone so successful and the iPad so successful.
It is amazing they were able to get these screens without, in there, and the other features like the better camera and the faster processor without increasing the price. It shows how huge the buying power of Apple computers at this point.
I got to say, I mean, if you look through archives of podcasts from last year, when we started talking about a double resolution iPad 3, my biggest question mark was how can they make a screen with the same resolution as a notebook, actually exceeding the resolution of most notebook screens, and still hold the line at $499. Right. And it wasn't until I saw we started seeing other bits of evidence of this being an active product that I thought, okay, now I believe it, but. Man alive! It's like I don't think there's any pixie dust inside the iPad 2 because it's all being used during all of the negotiation meetings with their part suppliers. Saying, you will not charge us $230 for this custom part. You will charge us the same price as the old one.
It is the same.
The price Apple is the same as the old one.
Apple might hit $600 today.
One share of Apple stock costs more than an iPad.
It does now. It does now. Up another $13 today. $565. It's just this. you could see right here where they announced the iPad was that big jump there. Oh no, wait a minute. Let me go back to a week. Let's look at a week here. Sorry about that. So what it was, March 7th, right? Let's see, right here. And it's been going up just steady ever since. And it is now, I think, at an all-time high, is it not? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All-time high. It started a year ago, it was at $310. It's now at $565. Unbelievable.
12 and 7/8.
Still going up by the looks of it.
Yeah. It's just amazing. Their market cap now is more than $500 billion, $527 billion. Just incredible. Moving on, AT&T has responded by adding 12 more cities to its LTE coverage. Congratulations if you're in Naples, Florida, St. Louis, Missouri, New Orleans and Baton Rouge, Bryant College Station, Texas, Cleveland, Akron, and Canton, Ohio, Bloomington, Lafayette, and Muncie, Indiana, and Staten Island, New York. There are now 40 markets compared to the 150-plus markets that Verizon has LTE in. Leander, what is your thinking? Which should you get, AT&T or Verizon? Does it matter?
Yeah, Verizon, unfortunately.
Yeah. More LTE.
AT&T. Yeah,
and they're offering free hotspotting, which is huge.
And better data rates as well. You get a better it's still more data.
It's roughly $1 a gigabyte though when you get to the once you go past like 3 gigabytes. It's about the same for both. I'm sorry, $10 per gigabyte. What was I saying? $1 a gigabyte. Dream on, Leo. So 5 gigabytes is $50 on both carriers. 10 gigabytes, Verizon offers a 10 gigabyte plan would be $80, which is $8 a gigabyte. So I guess if you think you're going to be a big user. And do not buy the 250 megabyte AT&T plan because it'll take you about 3 seconds to fill it up, and it costs $60 a gigabyte.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing what the metrics of the 4G radio and the double screen is going to do to all these, your data charges. The Apple's already said that it's going to be 6 one, half dozen the other, so I tend to believe them. Okay. But now realize that when you download an app, you're downloading quad resolution graphics. I have to. It certainly won't affect a web page that hasn't been optimized for the iPad 3. But I think that as we use more apps that are aware of this double resolution display, it's going to try to push down better graphics and better elements, and so that might start eating up more 4G. Last night I was doing a little bit of work outside the office, and I had the Sling Catcher app on my iPad, and I just start wondering, well, what happens when this app gets updated and they start thinking, well, let's give them the ability to have full 1080, full 720p streaming instead of just dumbing it down a little bit. And I think a more desirable feature of these apps is going to be, please try to tamp down my bandwidth usage. I haven't seen the settings box for the iPad 3, of course, but I'm hoping that there is a setting so you can say, please restrict me to 3G networks, just like on other devices. You can say, please restrict me to just edge networks too.
You can in fact, according to that Vietnamese video, turn LTE off. I don't know if you could turn 3G off. I mean, you can turn it off, but I don't know if you could say edge only. But you can turn off LTE.
I just got a notice from AT&T that I'm over my monthly bandwidth allocation, and I looked into it and I was like, I haven't been downloading that much stuff.
No, it happens at 1.5 gigabytes now.
Well, the problem was that I was uploading.
Yeah, well, that all counts too.
Uploads from iCloud backup, and it's 180, 220 megabytes a time, and it's doing this over the 3G network. Right. Even when I'm at home with Wi-Fi,
right?
There's some glitch. I'm looking into this now, but it looks as though there's some glitch. I think in the settings, there's an option that's turned on by default: upload over 3G networks. And apparently, I guess there's some bug. It uploads to iCloud over 3G, even if you're on a Wi-Fi network. So
that's very frustrating.
2 gigabytes a day in a week, just doing iCloud backups.
Yeah. So there's another reason where bandwidth is going to get eaten up.
I wonder if this is going to bite AT&T in the butt. Now that they're clamping down on heavy users, really the reason why I'm sticking with AT&T is chiefly because I get great AT&T coverage in my house, so that's really one of the big steals. But if they start making my unlimited package almost useless by making sure that the closer I get to 2 or 3 gigs, the more they're going to tamp down my speed. Now you start telling me that, well, next time you buy an iPad or next time you're going to be renewing your contract, maybe you should consider switching over to Verizon, because that is the reason why they've got me as a customer right now.
The Department of Justice is a little unhappy. I'm curious. They're warning Apple and publishers about colluding on ebook pricing. Remember, Apple said they're going to be $15. Cheap. So the Department of Justice is weighing in, saying, no, you can't have a cheap fixed price. Now, I agree price collusion is bad, but isn't it usually bad when it's colluded to be higher? When you're colluding for a lower price, shouldn't they get out of that? Shouldn't they stay away from that?
Collusion is collusion, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's technically, I guess it's illegal, but...
Well, because...
What is the harm?
The central complaint here is that Amazon was actually selling Kindle editions of books for less than what it cost them to acquire them. So, and if you have a huge war chest like Amazon has, you can do that and eat it for a year or two in the interest of making sure you always have the cheapest books, and you will capture as many customers as possible and lock them into your format. And then you're free to start jacking up the prices 3 or 4 years later once you've developed the iTunes.
So it's like price dumping, kind of.
Right. So Steve Jobs was his point was that he wanted favored nation status with everybody, saying that if you're going to sell a book for $10 on BarnesandNoble.com or Kindle.com, you have to sell it for $10 here too. And that sort of insisted upon the agency pricing model, where the agency sets the price of all these titles. So it really depends on what poison you think is going to be a little easier to take. As a consumer, would you rather have a system in which Amazon can do something like that, where you will be able to buy a book for $7.99 instead of $12.99, but it also means that if there is a smaller publisher who wants to try to give you a better deal, like simply say, we will make sure that whatever DRM format you want to use on your device, we will support you for that, or we will be a more author-oriented sales force. All these different things they could differentiate themselves from Amazon from. Would you rather those companies be able to get a fair shake because they can they can still sell these books at a price that everybody else is going to get them at, or do you, as so many people have that disconnect for, does it kind of honk you off that you're buying a package of electrons and spending $19 for it, and it's just like $4 less than the hardcover price, and it's actually in some cases it's even $1 more than what you can order the hardcover from on Amazon sometimes, because of the discounting that happens with the hardcovers versus the discounting that can't happen on electrons. So I really don't know which one I support here. I do see the appeal of both options.
The smoking gun is in the Isaacson biography.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs said, we told the publishers we'll go to the agency model, as you said, Andy, where we set the price, where you set the price, publisher sets the price, and we get our 30%. And yes, Jobs said, the customer pays a little more, but that's what you want anyway. And that's exactly the contention. The Department of Justice says that Apple and publishers acted in concert to raise prices across the industry. So these $15 textbooks aren't really the issue. The issue is the agency model. Is that right?
It's not even like the religious aspect of having the agency model. It really is the fair harbor position.
Right.
And
acting jointly to raise prices. I mean, if you all agree, I'll charge $60 if you charge $60. Then that's not a free market.
As somebody who has a broken nose himself, I am offended by your bigoted appraisal of people who have a slight kink in their nose because they lead an active lifestyle. I join advertisers in calling for a boycott.
You're a slut.
But no,
William Lynch, the chief executive of Barnes & Noble, gave a deposition to the Justice Department, this is according to the Wall Street Journal, in which he testified that abandoning the agency pricing model would effectively result in a single player gaining even more market share than it has today. Prior to agency pricing, Amazon often sold best-selling digital books for less than it paid for them. You know, remember it was $9.99 bestsellers on the Kindle.
But you also notice that Amazon still has the lion's share of all digital book sales. iBooks still has the smallest library. I don't think Apple's really sharing numbers on how many they're selling, but I don't know any analyst who thinks that the iBook store is being competitive in selling. So this might all be just an academic exercise than anything else. It's also a philosophical one when you talk about, is it okay that Amazon is locking people into one DRM standard with all the titles that they buy, given that they have just proven that if I prove to them that there's more than like 2 millimeters of silicon in this watch, they will produce a Kindle reader that will work on this wristwatch. I can't think of any device that I have that's rechargeable and has a screen that there isn't a Kindle reader for, even the crap ones that I haven't recharged in 9 months.
Right. Well, it's fairly complicated. Apparently there's settlement negotiations going on, and there's different... Yeah.
There's the thing that would really get up everybody's nose, though, is if Random House decided to do a deal where, congratulations, the next Hunger Games book is going to be Kindle exclusive for 4 months, or what they used to do, which is to delay the release of the digital book for several months to make sure that the hardcover gets some breathing room and gets exclusivity to the market for a couple of months. They seem to have backed down from that almost completely. I think they've realized that taking money from people who want to pay them for things is probably good for business. So if only other industries like the movie industry would be as welcome to, again, taking people's money who wants to give them.
Good article if you want to get the details by Thomas Catan and Jeffrey Trachtenberg in the Wall Street Journal technology section on March 9th. That's where we're getting this story. Did you follow this OpenStreetMap? When we showed Apple showed at the iPad announcement how iPhoto would map your stuff, the beautiful looking kind of retro styled maps. Turns out the data is 2-year-old, not even recent, 2-year-old data from OpenStreetMap, which is a wonderful service. And I hope that the outcome of all of this is that OpenStreetMap.org becomes better known. The OSM Foundation wrote a very positive, upbeat piece and said, you know, Apple's great. They support open source. They give back to the open source. They probably just forgot to mention that they got it from us, but they did, and we expect them at some point to come into compliance with our license, which says if you use our data, you got to tell people you're using our data. The data is created by, there are 400,000 volunteers. I'm one of them. You sign up if you've got a GPS. Even if you don't, you can go in, sign up, correct maps of an area that you know. You can use your GPS, drive around, and add to the maps. It's a really great system, and it's free as long as you credit OSM to use. That's why Foursquare is using it now instead of Google Maps, and it's presumably why Apple is using it as well. Still no word from Apple on all of this. I do hope that they give them credit because it's. And
they have 17 pages of credits on the iPhone. If you go to the About screen, and there's a credit sub menu, I think, that runs to.
It's the lot.
Lots, yeah.
Do they mention OSM in there?
I haven't looked.
Who's read it? I presume that the OSM Foundation, before they blogged this, looked. They probably just did a text search. Yeah. Class action lawsuit against Siri.
This is funny.
Siri, what do you think of the court system? Whoops! I got I clicked the link and I got this. I don't know what this is. Chinese something. Is that malware? Chinese malware? No, it just was what came up.
Oh no, that's a link that I posted.
You did that to iTunes.
Did I paste it into the wrong?
Yes.
Sorry, this is some. No. You clicked underneath it. Yeah. You clicked underneath the class action lawsuit thing.
That's the holes in app security, Chinese apps, blah, blah, blah. This is the story. Thank you, Andy. And we'll get to that next story in a bit. And a New York man is suing Apple, saying that the advertising on Siri is false, misleading, and deceptive. In many of Apple's TV advertisements, individuals are shown using Siri to make appointments, find restaurants, even learn the guitar chords to classic rock songs, or how to tie a tie. All of these tests are done with ease in the TV commercials. This is not my experience. Siri either did not understand what the plaintiff was asking or, after a very long wait time, responded with the wrong answer. So I'm thinking that Mr. Fazio here, Frank M. Fazio, it might have a strong accent. He says it's unusable.
Yeah, I think he'd be willing to settle this for a $20 Chipotle burrito card.
Hey, I'm Frank Fazio, and I cannot use Apple's Siri. It does not seem to understand me. I'll tell you, I would love to see Dick DiBartolo try to use Siri. Hey, Siri, how you doing? I have to admit, Siri is far from perfect. In fact, a little bit of a disappointment, especially when I try to dictate. It always seems to just give up. And I get a lot more often than I'd like to. I'm sorry, I really would like to help you, but I can't right now. But I don't think they make... Did they make... Well, the ads might be... I don't know. The ads are... Let's face it, the ads are misleading.
There's a super funny spoof video of Siri TV where people are trying to control a Siri-controlled television.
Yeah.
It goes wrong pretty quickly, and it's exactly, I think, most people's experience of it. I mean, Siri's really good for, simple tasks like, calling people and setting reminders and maybe setting up calendar dates. But, it goes wrong once, goes wrong twice, and then you're like, I just, it's easier just to go and do it with your fingers.
Yeah, the rock god is one of the ads that there's been airing lately where...
I gotta get a guitar.
I found 12 musical instrument stores.
How do I play London Calling? Whole Lotta Love? A B minor ninth.
I found this for you.
I mean, it does do that, but not as quickly or reliably as the ad. You do have a certain obligation in an ad to kind of represent reality, don't you?
Well, I don't know.
Isn't that what's called advertising?
Yeah, they're still calling it a beta. Although, isn't it interesting that I believe this is a new feature of iOS 5.1 that Siri now has a way, that you have those like pulsating 3 dots as it's thinking about something.
Yeah.
Now, if it can't get an answer for you, like if it doesn't, sometimes when you say something, you use speech to text, and will just like not give you anything.
Right.
The last thing it does when it doesn't give you anything is go from fang, fang, fang. It'll just like fade those 3 dots out. I didn't notice that behavior in previous editions. That seems to be its way of subtly saying, I don't know. Sorry.
I get that a little too much. I'll be honest, I hardly use Siri anymore. Right, and this is not, it's kind of what I thought would happen. At first I thought, oh no, Siri really is going to work.
I still use it for speech to text. It hasn't gotten over that hump where I can really guess as to the sort of answers that it will know as opposed to not know. I was surprised. 2 days ago, I was cooking a pork tenderloin. I vaguely remembered that the Food and Safety Commission had lowered the safe temperature for pork. And so it's, great. This is exactly the sort of number thing that Wolfram Alpha would know. It's like, Siri, what is the safe cooking temperature for pork? And the only thing it could do was like send me on a web search, which surprised me because it involves a number. It's an easy phrase. So I think the next wager shouldn't be how many iPads are going to be sold in the first week. It's going to be how much time is going to lapse before Apple takes the beta tag off of Siri. I think it's going to be a while before it gets so good that they can proudly say that this is as good as any other piece of software that Apple makes. That we've collected all the data we need to collect about how people use this service to really lock down what it should be doing.
Let's briefly talk about 5.1, and then we're going to get our picks of the week and our tips and so forth. iOS 5.1 came out at the same time as they announced the new iPhone and iPad. One change we immediately noticed, in fact, Colin, somebody, I think it was Colin, came running over to me during our thing and saying, look, I get 4G now on AT&T. Not really. It's still HSPA. They just decided instead of naming it HSPA Plus the same as HSPA, they gave it 4G. It's not really 4G. It's 14 megabits, which is not even close to 4G.
Well, yeah. It depends. They do... The odd thing about the 4G designation, and this is something I learned last year as I was trying to figure out the technology myself, is that it's not quite so much the governing body that hands out that designation.
The ITU.
They haven't designated as if it has this technology, and this technology, it supports these bandwidths. It's if you are doing something that's substantially faster than what the standards defined by 3G can do, it's okay to call it 4G.
Right.
Although that's not something. this, yeah, I mean, this is not, it's such an odd thing for carrier to do that, yes, this use of 4G is starting to raise a lot of eyebrows.
Yeah. You know, if you look in Wikipedia, it says 4G is 100 megabits down, and that's nothing in the U.S. is even close to that. This is the thing you're talking about. It's a press release, actually, that came from the International Telecommunications Union last December. Actually, two Decembers ago, in December 2010. Other evolved 3G technologies can be named 4G as long as they provide a substantial level of improvement in performance and capabilities compared to the current 3G. So I guess it's 4G.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like Elvis's black belt. Yes, it's a black belt. Yes, he was awarded it according to the rules. You're supposed to be awarded a black belt. But everybody who sees you wearing that black belt is going to say, you get.
His black belt and his FBI badge. Yeah.
That's right.
So what else is new in 5.1? It doesn't the Siri little dot thing is different.
Yeah, that really cool camera button on the lock screen.
I love that. So when before you unlock your iPhone, you'll see a camera. I guess it's on the iPad too. You see a camera button, and if you press that, the camera app launches. That's something that Windows
swipe it up, right?
Swipe it up, right? Windows Phone 7 added, which was great. The ability to take a picture right from the lock screen, and now Apple is doing that.
Yeah. They also finally changed the camera app on the iPad so that the shutter button is actually probably where your thumb is going to be while you're holding it. So I think that the previous position really sold a lot of iPads because you would definitely drop it while you're trying to take a picture.
It should be where your thumb is, and it moves. If you rotate it, it stays where it stays in the same position. They've also added the ability to recognize more than one face at a time. So it's kind of cool if you point it at multiple people. It goes, what else? iTunes Match, Genius Mixes and Genius Playlists are back, supposedly. Optimized, in quotes, audio for movie and TV shows. They should sound both louder and clearer. Mm-hmm. Podcast, this I like. Podcast controls for rewinding and playback speed. That's nice. So you can if you can't fast forward, kids, don't try it. But you don't. I see you trying to skip that commercial. Do not. But you can rewind if you want to hear the commercial again, which is always nice. It was an over-the-air update, which I liked. Came in fairly quickly. Anything? You can delete a picture from iCloud.
Yeah,
the photo stream
from PhotoStream.
But it only deletes it on that device, right? So the picture of your bottom that's on that device still is on the screensaver on the big screen TV. So you got to go in by hand, so to speak. Is that right? It doesn't delete it from the cloud.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think it's.
I don't know either. Don't know. Sorry.
Because when the new OS comes out, we all try out the new features that relate to what we like to do.
I've unplugged I've unplugged the connection to my screen, so I'm going to check right now. Yeah. You can't see it. Apple is rapidly approaching $568 right now.
I'm in exactly that same position with you. I'm reviewing iPhoto, and now it has that bookshelf view of like your photos. And unfortunately, from one of my, it's all fine. I can use it as a screenshot, except for one of these albums of like shot pictures. It shows as its thumbnail one personal picture that I can't post publicly. That's not like nude or anything like that. It's just like I don't want people to, people should not be interested in like in my personal life.
Right.
It's like, so I'm going to have to do something special to weird this out and edit it just because you randomly decided to.
There's actually quite a bit of stuff on here.
Trouble just as surely as the sparks fly upward. Why must Andy not always get the fuzzy end of the lollipop? Sorry.
My photos. Well, wait a minute. Now it just updated. Did it delete? Because I have, for instance, I have a business card in here with a phone number on it that I really do. And I show stuff all the time on the screen. So it's actually been a problem on iPad today. I have to be very careful about launching my photo library. I think it has deleted these.
It does. That was what it did. It added. I'm just looking it up here on my iPhone. Yeah. So in 5.1, before 5.1, it didn't. It deleted it on your device, but didn't delete it from PhotoStream.
Now it deletes it globally.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Oh, hallelujah! Look at that. I think it did do it. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's been a problem. Oh, there's another one. Oh dear. Oh no, I thought I deleted that. Oh my.
Been a problem, huh, Liam?
Okay, well, let me just close out on iPhoto. We'll keep working on little too much information. Let's see here. Anything else at 5.1? Did we miss anything else that happened?
Siri for Japan, but we already did that.
Siri for Japan, which apparently is, according to some, not so good. It's struggling.
Let's not judge too harshly. I can't really understand Japanese very well either.
So how would you know? Right.
Before I go casting stones.
Right.
Siri had a great reputation when it was an app. Before Apple bought it, when it was an app.
Right.
There were a lot of people that really loved it, and it did a lot more things. It tied into I think about a dozen.
Yeah, you could make an open
APIs.
table, and it was cool. Yeah.
And the DARPA agency behind it, so they've got an even more advanced version of Siri in the labs that can reason and.
Oh yeah, you could say things like
questions.
"Bomb Iran," and it would just do it. No, that was a joke. That was a joke. Please, to our Iranian listeners, I was joking. iTunes 10.6 adds the option to sync 192 kilobit and 256 kilobit quality audio to your devices. So for those of you who have 64 gigabyte devices, you don't have to shrink it down anymore.
Well, that's specifically what they did was it's not that it could always sync higher bitrate files. We're talking about the special feature and options where it will if you actually have like a lower capacity iPad.
Right.
And exactly.
It gives you more options in that.
Exactly. So you can, if you've got a 320K file, it'll drop it down to not just. You used to only have the option of dropping it down to 128. Now it'll go to 256. Blah blah blah.
Tim Cook, showing his confidence in the health of Apple, has just cashed in $11 million in Apple stock. Actually, that's nothing.
I know, it's peanuts. Why
peanuts. He was given 1 million shares in August, just to give you some idea.
He was at the hotel. He ordered a Denver omelet. He realized he didn't have enough money for a tip.
I need a couple million.
Cashed in some pocket change for stock.
So his million shares currently valued more than $500 million. And so he took 11 million. Big deal. Tim, enjoy. Have an extra cup of coffee on me. Fiber optic Thunderbolt coming later this year. Remember, Thunderbolt was originally called Light Peak because it used fiber optic, and then they couldn't get it to work. They could only get it to work with copper, so they renamed it to Thunderbolt because they can't call it Light Peak because it wasn't using light. Well, now it's going to use light again. According to Intel, that fiber optic Thunderbolt cables will launch later this year. That just means you can do it farther, tens of meters instead of 6 meters. It doesn't mean it faster. It's already as fast as you could ever possibly want. You want it faster, Leander? We'll make it faster for you.
I know. Bandwidth hasn't been an issue, has it, for years?
No.
With external devices.
Yeah.
I remember it used to be a big deal.
We're faster than the drives, aren't we? But there are people like Alex Lindsay who are like pumping so much data on, that they need more. Safari 5.14 update has an 11% JavaScript performance boost and fixes bugs. You will have to be running Lion or Snow Leopard to get it. Came out Monday via software update. Allow cookies set during, this is a new feature, I don't know what this is good for. Allow cookies set during regular browsing to be available after using private browsing. And just another little feature here. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, an iOS tip, a Lion tip, product picks, and more. Stay here. Leo Laporte with Leander Kahney of Cult of Mac, Mr. Andy Ihnatko from the Chicago Sun-Times. Alex Lindsay is on assignment helping homeless people in Austin. This show brought to you by our friends at Pond 5, the world's stock media marketplace. I had not heard about Pond 5 until they approached us and said, do you know about, and I said no, and I am blown away. If you make presentations, if you need stock photos for your website, I love how every blog post should have an image. If you need music tracks for your video or sound effects, or how about motion graphics templates, this is an amazing marketplace of stock media. Now 1 million video clips, 5,000 new ones this week, put them over 1 million. 7.6 million photos, 689,000 illustrations 104,000 music tracks, 212,000 sound effects, 1,630 After Effects projects. And there's always new stuff because, by the way, media creators love Pond 5 because you set your own price. Pond 5 uses the agency model. It's a dynamic marketplace where you upload your content, set your price, and get industry-leading royalties on every sale. So you're helping the media creators when you buy at Pond 5. And boy, look at all sorts of stuff. Here's this week's free stock footage. They have you should go every week and just visit because they have free footage. Ooh, look at these eels. Now, just add that to your movie. I don't know why. Just, anytime you've got a skateboarding flick and just stick some eels in. And people, it just makes it so much more professional.
Can I buy the lion here?
Oh.
Look at that.
I'm a little bit hungry. Oh, look. There's an Apple user. I think I'll eat him. Pond 5. Now, here's the deal. But probably people have gone out and bought stuff like the lion or the eel, and I forgot to tell you we got a deal. On checkout, use TWiT25, TWiT25, and you'll get 25% off your purchase this month. TWiT25. So POND5.com, the world's stock media marketplace. Really, if you've been using the other guys, this is the one. Check it out. I cannot believe how much great stuff, the sound effects and stuff. And they let you look at it all, which is kind of nice.
Here's a lion roaring.
Let's see. See, they put a little watermark in there, so.
And then there's the Twilight Terror.
Ooh.
Ooh. For something.
Isn't that great? I just love all these. It's so fun just to browse around. Thunderstorm.
They're not that expensive. They're like $2.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm going to start adding sound effects to every blog post. Forget the picture.
When I was the Boy Scouts,
that's great.
When I was the Boy Scouts, I learned that if you time how long it takes between the thunderclap and the pond5.com logo,
and multiply it by 7, right? 7 miles per second.
Oh, that's getting closer. we really should take cover now.
Listen to last night was very windy around here. I recorded this out my window. I don't know. I'm sorry. I get every time I start playing with this site, I can't stop. Pond5.com, 25% off. Use the offer code TWiT25. Do we want to do an iOS tip? Normally we have Alex do that, but he's not here. So we could skip it. We did just talk about iOS 5.1. We talked about 3 great things. Andy gave a tip. Watch the little fingers on Siri. How about an OS 10 tip, Mr. Andy Ihnatko?
Actually, this is a really cool one that I'd never even known about until I read about it on the OS 10 Daily site. Apparently, how many times are you looking at a site, you want to share it with a friend of yours via email, so you highlight, copy, paste. Actually, in Safari, all you have to do is hit Command Shift I, and Lion will automatically create a brand new email with the subject line containing the title of that web page and with the URL in the body of the email.
It's so perfect. It's so much easier.
Works in no matter what web client, whatever client you're using for email. And the tip at OS 10 Daily also says that it works in Chrome as well. I only tested it out in Safari, and it was one of those things where how come I've had this version of this software for so long and I've been doing things the hard way for so long without knowing about this? So I definitely want to give a tip of the hat to OS 10 Daily because that's a really cool one.
It really is, yeah. I do that all the time. So it's Command Shift I. I should just, just go through all these. I'm sure somewhere this is documented in the help files, and just go and get them all.
What I love are I have no inside knowledge of this, but I love these features that you see that you don't think that at any point was this discussed and whiteboarded. Just like someone who is on the development team decided that I really want this feature for my own personal use, and I never have to tell anybody that this shortcut exists. But I will be able to use this for the rest of my life.
If you look in the file menu on Safari, there it is. Mail link to this page, Command Shift I. And by the way, Command I mails the contents of the page.
Oh, okay.
It's right there.
User. I don't investigate the file menu.
I don't either. You know, how many times have I gone to the file menu and selected mail link to this page without looking at the fact that I could have done it with Command-Shift-I? It just drives me crazy. Let me try Command-I, and it opens an email. Is this going to open an email with the contents? Is it thinking? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Look at that. And it puts the subject in and everything. Pretty cool. Hey, Leander, I bet you have a pick of the week for us.
Ah, I do.
Fire when ready, Gridley.
It's an iPhone case.
Ah, what is that?
Look, it's called the SGP Blitz Linear case. And I've never been a big fan of cases. I always like my iPhone naked. But I also tend to drop it a lot. And the chips hurt. So this is like a bumper case, but a bumper case with a back on it.
Ah.
So it protects the back. And actually the back is more attractive on the inside, or just as attractive on the inside as on the outside. But it has a nice sort of mirrored finish around the logo. And the camera, I can't do this, but anyway.
It's pretty.
It's really quite attractive, yeah. And the edge of the case fits on like a bumper.
It's good to have a case of some kind. Those things break so easily.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And this actually flies off when you drop it. So it looks kind of alarming, but it absorbs all the energy.
You want it to do that. That's right.
Right, yeah. And it's saved, you probably can't see it, but there's scratches all over this thing. And it's really saved my iPhone from a lot of nasty dings. And, it's the best case I've had. I think it's probably the best case I've had for an iPhone. I really like it a lot. It's attractive and it's totally functional.
Strong
and it's not too obtrusive. Yeah.
SpyGen, the SGP iPhone 4 and 4S case, Linear Blitz series, and it's $31.99 on Amazon. Very nice. Andy Ihnatko, do you have a pick for us?
Yes, and it's not exactly a new pick. It's the Opera browser for Mac. You can download.
What?
Exactly, for Opera.com. I know. Because it's been like the ugly stepsister of browsers. Like there are at least 3 really good, solid browsers. Why would you go to Opera? Well, because it all started when I found out that my YouTube downloader app has for some reason stopped working, and sometimes there's a video up there that you really want like a local copy of, so you can play it like on your iPad or whatever. And I used to have Mac Tubes, which worked just great, but stopped working for some reason. I haven't been able to find an update for it that actually works. And then so I started poking around, and Opera has a really super cache explorer feature to it. Most of all browsers, if you just type about:cache, it will give you a list of items that are inside the cache. Opera goes one step further, and it will allow you to basically narrow down this whole list of things that are in the cache URL. So you can simply say, please, after you've played an entire YouTube video, that video file is somewhere in the browser cache. So you can simply click some checkboxes in that about.cache screen and say, please show me any item in the cache that is greater than 50 megabytes, but let's say smaller than a gigabyte, that is of file type MP4 or Flash video or .mov. And then suddenly you're looking at just simply the 4 files that it could possibly be, and one of those is going to really stand out for you. For graphics, it's even better because now if you go to Pixar.com, if you go to the Pixar's official site for the Brave film, it's really cool multimedia HTML5 site with these beautiful like production art, just a teaser art, beautiful like 1600 pixel wide images. But then if you just simply like load up this page and then go to About Cache and simply say, show me any JPEGs that are, let's say, larger than 50K, maybe smaller than than whatever. You will now be presented with a list of thumbnails that you can select that beautiful background image that from the cache, simply download it as a file, and now you've got this beautiful lock screen for your iPhone. So it obviously doesn't work on everything. If something's encoded in Flash video, like it's not going to get you that image there. But whenever you're in the situation where you see something inside a browser window that you would like to have in your media library, Opera is the simplest and the cheapest way to get at that. I mean, you don't even need to bother buying any of these apps that you find on the App Store for this sort of thing. It works just perfectly well.
That's really neat.
It gives you exactly everything you want.
Yeah. And it has this great. It actually has a very nice cache browser.
Yeah, I mean they can almost package that as its own special tool, and forget about actual browsing the web with it. I always have it open, and the only reason why I use it is when I'll tab over from Safari because I want to get that picture, I want to get that video.
Right. Neat. Free at opera.com, and I haven't used it in ages, but it's great. Yeah, a lot of people swear by Opera. Go ahead.
It has a bunch of features. They say it's a faster browser. They say it's a lot of it is they do some server-side optimization. I haven't found enough advantages to it that I would switch away from Chrome or Safari. But for me personally, Opera is a one-trick pony, but it's one hell of a trick.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, the fit and finish, the polish isn't quite up there, but it looks like it's designed for a bunch of different platforms, and then they kind of unify it. It's not real Mac-ish, I guess.
Firefox.
Say again?
Like Firefox.
Like Firefox, same problem. That's why, yeah. I know.
I haven't launched Firefox in ages.
No, me neither. If Chrome were not so sluggish on the Mac, I'd use it more. I like Chrome, but it feels very sluggish on some of my Macs, not all of them, and I can't quite figure out why. So, Safari. And Command-Shift-I. So this is brand new, just happened. Actually, it was one of our news stories, but I thought I'd save it for our pick. Khan Academy. We've talked about them many times before. It's a great place to get an education for free. 2,700 videos. They've just announced an iPad app that lets you view any of the 2,700 videos. They don't yet have the tests and courseware and stuff, but they say they're going to do that. You can download the videos right to your iPad. So it's a great interface to the Khan Academy library. And you just download them, and it's free. And Salman Khan is a hero for the stuff he's put online. And now there's an iPad app to make it even easier. I think adding Khan Academy to your iPad just turns it into just an incredible, useful tool. And
I have it here.
iTunes U and that, and you've got it. You've got an education. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. So very nice. 2,700 educational videos in pretty much every area, K through 12, math, science, history, finance. You can log into your Khan Academy account. It does something neat, which is it will keep track of where you are, and when you go to your Khan Academy account on another device, it will zip you to that place. It remembers where you are, which is very nice. You can get credit for watching videos, track goals and achievements from within the app. Videos are fully subtitled, and you can browse by subtitle. There's also a video
so you can even just scroll right to the lesson where you actually want to get to.
Yeah, isn't that neat? Look at that. Yeah. Those are all the subtitles. So you just jump to that part. Anyway, very nice. KHAN Academy. Andy Ihnatko is at the Celestial Waste of Bandwidth, CWOB.com. He's also at IHNATKO on Twitter.
You win the green jacket.
Yay. I just always remember, I have no idea how to spell it. IHN. And the rest you can do. I have no idea. And he's also, of course, the tech writer for the great Chicago Sun-Times. And also joining us from the Cult of Mac at cultofmac.com, the great Leander Kahney. Always a pleasure, Leander. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Leo. Apple
stock price closing. The market closed 2 minutes ago, and the closing stock price for Apple was $568, up $16 today alone. It's like there's something happening.
Again, one share of Apple stock costs more than an iPad 3.
Unbelievable.
iPad 3 plus tax. And a soda. You can buy a soda at the CVS in the mall on the way back to your car.
Yeah. I will leave you with a great YouTube video that looks like it was something horrible happening at the TED conference. A disastrous speech from you've got to watch this. I think it was, what TED was this from? The most recent TED, the 2012 TED, I think it was. And let me close this here. Do you have my video, my audio? Yeah.
The environment by paying attention to.
Don't you hate it when that happens? Beach ball.
Paying attention to crowdsourcing.
Beach ball.
Just a quick video.
I don't think the audience knew that this was part of the improv everywhere.
Take a moment to load. Oh. We can just skip. Well, I'll just skip through the video instead.
We've all been there, haven't we?
I'm sure that Apple's really thrilled that they used the Apple Macintosh was screwing up.
They should have used Windows. Oh, look.
Yes.
Look, the beach ball is in the audience as well. Oh, that's an OS 9.
See, I thought this went a little bit too Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, but still.
Where it's like, I know I'm supposed to feel as though I'm transported to a dreamy wonderland, but I'm just looking at weird people in leotards who are doing things I don't understand.
That's why I like Cirque du Soleil. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stop watching the video. Get back to work. Break time's over. Yay.
I got to say that whether you like...
Show it.
What?
Whether you like dudes or whether you like ladies, they chose a lot of improv people who look really good in tight-fitting spandex.
Yeah, except for that guy.
Oh,
that's me.
This was their entertainment then during the TED?
This was a talk. This was a TED Talk.
What was it about?
Well, it's improv. The guy's from Improv Everywhere, and
the whole thing was staged.
Yeah, it's all staged. It's just a funny improv.
Well, this just goes to show how far Apple has come in the last 10 years. Because this would have been Windows. They would have been the butt of the joke.
Right.
And this is sort of like being on The Simpsons. It's it's a badge of honor.
Exactly. And it doesn't happen that often. In fact, it's very reliable. But it's just a funny. You're exactly right. It's so recognizable now.
Right, because it's gone totally mainstream. Before it would have been, it would have, that Mac users were just too small. They were the minority. I think this is a perfect example that Apple is now the majority computing platform, even if it's not.
Right.
I think
it is among that crowd, isn't it? Among the TED crowd. I bet you don't see a whole lot of Windows devices.
Yeah, right, yeah.